Hello, thank you for joining me. It's Jez here from Nigezza.blogspot.com, and I'm here today to show you a card I made. This was a request from my son, one of his friends' birthday, and he went, "Mum, she's into vampires and a bit gothic, but I guess you won't have many vampire stamps, will you?" No, I really won't. Not a lot of call for that, really, is there? So remembering my youth and days of being a little bit of a goth myself, I thought purple, black, lace, basque, and so that's the look I went for in this card. A bit sort of shabby chicy gothic sort of looking. So I shall show you what I did. So to make this card, I have used half a sheet of A4 fresh fig. I've used a piece of our designer series stack in current in colours, which is called, I am looking in my drawer, Fresh Florals. So I picked out one of the fresh floral designs in fresh fig as well. They're in some basic black cardstock, the size of a card blank. That's for the back to help it stand up. And then just a couple of scraps. I'm using Sweet Sugar Plum, cut that out with the stitch framelits, use the square. That's going to get stuck on so that it can be signed on, because obviously black is a bit hard. So I've gone for Sweet Sugar Plum so it tones in, and as you can see I've already sort of distressed it around the edges in black, because we are going for the goth look. And then surprisingly, because this is a birthday card, but just to show that Christmas themed things don't necessarily have to be just for Christmas, and I'm using the Swirly Snowflake thinlits. And actually, when I saw the Swirly Snowflakes thinlits in the catalogue, and I saw this sort of snowflake border, I actually saw a lacy border when I saw it. I didn't immediately think, oh, snowflakes, and I actually saw how I'd use this for other things, for belly bands and borders and different things like that. So and that's what I've done. I've already cut one out, and I have cut this one out, and I just want to show you how really easy it is to release it. So I used here the length of the height of your card, and I did it 4 inches wide, and actually I could have done it a little bit less, maybe 4 1/4. 3 3/4 would have been all right. So when you cut it, it does release really well, like so. And then to get these out, I use the brush and sponge. I've put it in a tin. I think you might have seen this before, and then that way all the bits, I just turn it over and then eventually sort of empty it. And when you roll it over, because the last thing you want to do with these intricate dies is get your pokey tool out and poke it through each one of those holes, because that's just tedious and life is too short. But when we do it like that, it does just lift out, and as you can see, they're all bar a few, they're all out. And I don't mind a pokey tool on just a couple that's left in, but I don't want to do it on all of them. So that's our basic components, and then there's a little bit of scrap for the topper. Okay, so to get our card base, we're going to use the bit of the die that sort of fits in with this shape beautifully, and it cuts it out. So we're going to cut that on each of these ends of the card to have our gatefold, but first we're going to score it. So we're going to score it at 2 1/16. So it's like half the width of a card front. And because it's 1/16, I'm going to use my trimmer, because the scoreboard it goes up to 1/8, not 1/16. So that's why I love this trimmer. It is my favourite trimmer of all the trimmers I've ever used. So we go to 2 1/16. When I'm doing a card, I do like to use the bone folder for scoring now. So I'll just put it down there. And then I'll just turn it around the other way and do again 2 1/16. As ever, all the measurements will be on my blog, nigezza.blogspot.com. There we go. Right, don't need that anymore. And then fold it. And as you can see, we've got a nice perfect meet in the middle. I'll give it a burnish. And then for these edges, it's going to go on the big shot, and with the cutting edge down, you just lay it on the edge. The ends will go to the end of the card, and you just lay it on that end, run it through, and repeat on the other side. So I'll go and do that and come back to you. So there, I've cut that side, and then this side has been cut like so, and the little bits are in, and again all I do is take my brush and brush it over, and it takes all those bits out. Quite quickly. Quicker and less harm on your fingers if you have problems with your fingers like me. This is a nice thick handle on this brush. There we go. And then there just might be a few strays that I don't mind taking my pokey tool and poking out. There aren't too many, so it's not too tedious. And I thought this just made a nice sort of basque look, your sort of Van-Press Gothic sort of look, which was always a look I liked as a teenager. I don't think I owned any clothes that weren't black or purple. To be fair, I don't much now own much that's not black or purple. The odd bit of dark blues crept in. That's not much of a departure. There we go. Right, so what I want to do now is a little bit of stamping to give it the sort of lacy look. I'm using touches of textures, so I'm using this long sort of lacy stamp. Gosh, don't know what's wrong with my brain. So ink it up. It doesn't have to be perfect. I'm actually going to do it closed. We are covering the back of this, so it doesn't actually matter. So just going to go down. So it looks a little bit like lace overlay on the front, like so. You see that? Quite like that look. Love the collar combo. Now what I want to do before I stick my lacy overlays on it is I want to distress it a bit, and we don't have the archival inks don't do distressing very well, so I'm using a bit of contraband. I'm not showing the lid. The brush is also not Stampin' Up. If you've watched some of my other videos, you might have seen this brush before. I quite like the brush. It gives it a bit of a softer look than the sponges, which is what I'm going for. Because believe it or not, I don't just have Stampin' Up in my stash. I have an awful lot of Stampin' Up, and I mainly only buy Stampin' Up now. But I did have a crafting life before I joined Stampin' Up, and so I do have other things. So there we go. We can see the distressed lacy bodice look coming together. So then we just need to stick these on, and as you can see, it is a little bit too big down the edges, but we're not going to worry about that for now. I am just going to stick them on, and then I will trim them off. When I did a prototype for this, because I wanted to test if it worked, I trimmed them off first, but I actually think I'm going to trim it off afterwards. Might be easier. Right, so instead of using a fine tipped glue pen on this, I think I'm going to do the trick I've seen on the telly, mentioning no names of the show, and I'm going to stick glue on the back of my hand, because that worked best in practice. Just get the last little bits out of this. Oh, there's a few left in this one. Never mind. Sometimes it's quite therapeutic doing things like this. Sometimes little jobs that require a bit of concentration kind of makes you forget what you're stressing about. So there we go, get rid of all that. So I'm going to stick some glue on the back of my hand. Like so. And then I'm just going to dab it in, and this way it all gets covered, and maybe not too much will leak through, and yet there's a great big splodge there. Never mind, I have got my glue remover. It's not a disaster. So then you're just kind of guided by the shape of the border, and that's how it sort of sticks down. And then we do the same on the other side. Need some more glue for this. And then again. Stick it in. Make a mess of your hand. I like getting messy. slight bit of wigglage time. And then all that glue will dry clear and it will be alright. I'm going to get a baby wipe now for the back of my hand because I've got glue on the ends of my fingers, glue on the back of my hand, and I'll just get into one hell of a sticky mess. There we go. So we'll leave that to dry a bit, and now we're going to come to the middle bit, this, which I'm going to distress as well. So taking my naughty ink, I'm going to use my sponge and come in and colour this. We do sell sponge brayers, and I did see them being used by one of my teammates, Jill, the other day, and she coloured some DSP, and I really like the effect, so you could use that on here. But again, the ink is a bit not right. Right, I'm going to get some fresh fig as well, and I'm going to add that into it as well. Of course, my fresh fig is out, like a duh, it's not on your stand. Right, and I'm just going to add a bit of fresh fig. And the thing about these brushes is you can dip them into different, they're made of some hair, and so the colours don't tend to stay on the brush, so you can dip it into different colours. I tend to keep dark one side and not so dark the other. That one's obviously been in lots of greens, and then I've got one that's got lots of reds and blues, etc. So I do tend to stick to the same sort of colour tones. There we go. And usually you don't get much hair coming off, but there is a hair in there. Come off. Won't waste that bit of ink. There we go. So that's given that a sort of an aged look about it to stick in the middle. And I've cut this slightly narrower than the width because otherwise it would look funny when you folded it over. Okay, so that looks like a nice sort of bit of lacy camisole maybe underneath the basque. That were my thoughts. Okay, so that's dried off nicely, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to glue these edges bits down because I'm going to do a bit of punching out of that, so but I'm not going to glue these inside edges. But first of all, I'm going to glue that down with my fast fuse because it's been so cheap. The offer's gone. I hope you took advantage of it. I certainly did, to stock up on my fast fuse. Didn't flick enough there. There we go. So that's going to get stuck in the middle. Stuck in the middle with you. God, did I really just sing there? And I really can't sing. I must stop doing that. Trouble is, somebody says the line from a song, you know, or a line, and it's like from a song. I just can't help myself. I just have to sing it. It's the law. Throw me the words, I'll sing the song. I used to do it all the time in the classroom. Of course, the kids never knew the songs I was singing. So, right, I'm just going to bring my trimmer back in to trim off them end. No, I won't. I'll snip them off. I'll snip them off with my big scissors. It is quite easy to snip from the back because your scissor kind of leans on the bit of card, so you kind of get a nice even look to it. I think so anyway. There we go. And I want it to kind of look like it's going in a bit for your waist, pinched in a little bit. So I'm taking our 2 1/4 inch circle punch, and I'm trying to sort of follow that bit of the pattern. So I'm sticking it in, going up as far as that bit, pulling back a bit, make sure it's centered. Can you see what I'm doing? And then you get the little bit of lacy bit there, so it looks like the proper edge of the basque, like so. So gives the impression of a little bit of a pinched in sort of look. Now before I stick it down, so I want to do some sort of lacing, I'm going to cut a hole in. I've got me crocodile. God, I'm using everything that's not Stampin' Up today. I'm going to do the small hole, clear out the rubbish that's in there before, and I've set it at just over 1/2 inch, I think. The nice thing about that is that they'll all be even because it's set the same size. Likewise on the other side, should all be pretty even because that's the way I cut it. So there we go. So we've got the little, and then I've got a little bit of our sheer ribbon in Fresh Fig. Gorgeous ribbon this, I really like it. I like the fact that it's so thin, and I'm gonna lace it. So we're gonna go in the bottom, and that side will go in the bottom too. Poke it in. So then that's laced at the bottom. And then I'm going to come over and under into there. I haven't done the sticky. I'm not quite sure I'm going to do the sticky. I'll think about it in a minute. Might not need to. Might not need to stick it down actually. Gives it a bit of movement if it's not, doesn't it? I don't know. I will decide. And then that one can come up so that it will tie in a bow. You can of course lace it any way you want, People are funny, aren't they, about the way they like things laced. I could never understand that way that they used to lace up, boys used to lace up their football boots, and it was all the way across. I could never work it out. I could never do it. And if I was lacing my son's football boots, he'd like, oh mum, you've done it all wrong. Yeah, well, do it yourself then, love. I washed your kit. What more do you want? You want me to play the bleeding game for you? Anyway, so sticking that in. And then out. And then I've got too much there, so you can pull it around like so and tie a bow. Like so. I hadn't decided doing this whether or not I wanted black lace. I might change my mind still, so I'm not going to chop that off. Right, so that's that bit, and then to make the standy up bit at the back, I've got my bit of black card and I'm going to sort of stand it up like an easel, and because I think that'll be the nicer way to show this off rather than have it a side opening card. I think it would look better for display purposes if it opened the other way. So I'm going to score it at 3/4 of an inch. And that's the bit that I'm going to stick to the back of the card. Give it a little bit of a crease. So it's going to come out like that. So I want to stick that bit on there for my son to write on. So just stick that on. Line it up. There we go, and I think I might put a little bit of a flash of lace down there, actually. I think that'll look nice. Quite like that. Just a little bit of extra something thrown in for nothing. I'll probably do something similar on the envelope. Okay, and then a bit of fast fuse along the top of that. Helps if you use your fast fuse the right way up and not upside down like a wally. And then I'll just stick that one to the back. Like so. With the bone folder, give it a good press along there, and then that will stand up like so. Really cool, and then you can see your message and it looks cool. Now for the greeting, what I did for the greeting was I used a scrap of, I've already done it to make life quicker, I was just going to show you the scrap that I'd taken it out of, but it seems to have disappeared. So what I did was I took a bit of fresh fig, I stamped it over in black ink with this, and then I stamped on with the little happy birthday label there. It's got some flowers on it. I thought maybe that was a slightly lacy look, and then I heat embossed it after making sure the background ink was dry, and then heat embossed it in some clear ink to make it stand up. And because that would get pretty lost on this card, I used our new label punch, cut out that, and I'm gonna layer that up because it does give it quite a nice light effect layered up. And what I haven't decided is where this needs to go on here, so I'm just going to stick this onto there whilst I'm trying to decide. Put that on my grid mat so that I centre it, because fast views is one go only. There, perfect, how gorgeous. And then I might just stick it across the middle, down the bottom. No, I think across the middle. And I'm gonna decide for the photos whether or not I use black lace or sweet sugar plum lace. We do have, because this is what I'm thinking of, we do have in the holiday catalogue this nice black lace here, so it's whether or not that would look good underneath. No, I'm going to stick with my sweet sugar plum. Yeah, so let's trim those. You know, sometimes my hands just don't work, and then I think I'll get a bit of dimensional onto there on each side and stick that down, and hopefully my boy and the recipient will like them. So I'm just going to stick one on each edge because I don't want to stick the centre down. I'm still kind of undecided. I think maybe to the side, to the bottom, that might. No. Like so. There. What do you think? Me Gothic, vampire-ish birthday card. See if you like it. Go to my blog, see the measurements, see some close-up photos, like and subscribe, press the bell, and then you'll always get notifications of when I've done a video. Okay, thank you, see you again soon.